Hello, and welcome to the Doors, Floors, Windows, and Walls Update Your Print Media Portfolio to Meet Evolving Demands webinar. My name is Sean McGettigan, and I'll be your moderator. Today, I'm joined by HP Brand Channel Managers Patrick Calloway and Dan Barbario. Patrick, Dan, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
As a brand channel manager, what do you guys do? How do you, interact with the portfolio? How do you help customers, end users, dealers with regards to the HP media portfolio?
Yeah, well, I'll jump in with that. Patrick and I both, we help to manage the HP large format media reseller dealer channel. And with that being said, we also work very closely with a lot of the end users, working with them, giving them, current opportunities or trends in the market that we see. We field a lot of questions and calls from those folks. So that's a big part of our responsibilities as well.
Great.
Absolutely, yeah. So Dan said most of it. I think that we try to do the best that we can to tie the current events to where these people in their current printing lives are today and where we think they're going, and try to launch new products that are relevant for applications of today. And certainly the market's fast changing, and our great team we've got behind us is always looking at adding new products and applications to help our clients really grow their businesses or print what they need to print to get their messages out there.
Great. All right, so today we're going to discuss the various types of graphics and media that are becoming a necessity as businesses and schools reopen. Plus, we'll take a look at some demonstrations and give you some pointers for installing your own graphics. Finally, we'll come back at the end and we'll answer any questions that you might have. So guys, if you're ready, why don't we go ahead and jump in?
Yeah,
great, absolutely.
So to start, what are you guys seeing as far as some of the general guidelines out there as businesses and schools are reopening in the coming days, coming weeks and months?
I'll jump on that one real fast out of the gate. We're in Florida, so we're becoming controversial down here. Schools are now going back. We found that out the other day, according to our governor. So everybody's in a different state. Everybody has different, people are handling things differently from a governmental point of view. But for schools in particular, it was just announced that schools are back in session. So with that, we feel that we need to do our part. And on that regard, I have children. Dan has children. I know you do too, Sean. So I'm thinking about it as a parent and as a somewhat of a consultant to these print providers in these schools of what can we do to help them address this issue of congregating or not congregating and making sure the children are being socially distanced. So I think to that regard, it's really just about making certain that these children, they need to see the messaging in as many places as possible, because we've all done it. We've walked down the wrong way at the grocery store where it says one way only, at the beginning of the whole COVID situation. Yeah. The kids are going to be doing the same thing. And I think the more is more when it comes to messaging and signage. And I think that's kind of the focus right now, making sure that we're coaching these folks up on what are the do's and what are the don'ts from what we've been seeing in private sector businesses.
Yeah, to Pat's point, there's a lot of different things that I think are becoming commonplace now, right? We know all of the, 6 feet apart, minimum of 10 folks or 10 people in a group. I think with the schools reopening, there's going to be a lot with parking, drop off, pickup zones. Where should parents go? Where do students wait? So there's going to be a lot of that. And we'll get into some more depth in that later on in the discussion.
So I know you kind of segued into this a little bit into my next question. So let's talk specifically about signage and graphics. Since that really is why we're here. What are some examples of signage that should be implemented as things are opening back up? Again, considering schools, retail, restaurants, businesses.
I'll jump on this one. I think it's going to be imperative to make sure that students, parents, faculty, staff feel safe coming back. So signage is going to go a long ways towards lending to that. I think, the social distancing signage is going to be important. There's going to be a ton of opportunities for different signage and graphics applications as schools open. And really what we need to do is kind of focus on those specific applications. I think help train our end users, our print service providers, how to guide, those educational institutes, right? What are going to be the best practices? And I think that's what Patrick and I can lend to this conversation. A lot of what we're seeing in the industry, not only here in Florida, but, across the country.
Yeah, and guys, I also think, you've got a different message or different voice that you need to use when you're speaking to kindergartners or
Mhm.
elementary school children. My kids are in elementary school, than you do to junior high children or high school, and certainly college or university students. Some of those schools are not going back; they're online only, but some may go back or will go back. And I think that you have to not only have the right applications, but you have to have the right graphic design messaging to address each specific market that we're talking about here. And in particular with schools, you asked about applications. So
Right.
Dan, you mentioned, I'm thinking about my own life and my own drop-off situation with my kids, right? And I'm
Yeah.
thinking about, I believe banners are going to be an important part of that. Banners that are going to be outdoor, they're going to be probably shorter term. You can change the messaging as COVID starts to get addressed, and hopefully one day we've got a vaccine or it starts to subside as far as what we're dealing with today. But you're going to need to see some banner material that is going to be outside where people are dropping off with the cars, that are going to be directing traffic, that's going to probably be different than what it was 6 months ago before
Mhm.
all this started. You're going to see I think some floor graphics. You're going to see some window and wall graphics, and you're going to see some yard signs, I think, or A-frames. So I think that it's kind of a plethora. It's not just one product fits all or one application fits all. And you're going to have to get a little bit creative. And I think the people that are going to get more creative are going to be the ones that are going to have more success with what Dan said, which is making
Mhm.
the students, the parents, and let's face it, the teachers more comfortable, because some of the teachers are the most exposed because they're in those high risk categories. A lot of them are, in their 50s or 60s and not quite yet at retirement, and they might have a pre-existing condition, which makes them more susceptible. So how do we make them feel safe too? And how do we help get the administrators to get their teachers to feel safe?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think you hit the nail on the head a little bit there as well when you said, it's best to follow local rules and guidelines, right?
Mhm.
So first you want to check with your local, whatever city, county, state
Right.
rules and guidelines, and then there's a lot that we'll be able to give you to add on top of those, right? Not everybody's got a perfect plan or solution for graphics and signage, but I think in conjunction with local rules and regulations and what we can kind of go over here, it'll be a pretty clear picture of how to move forward.
So at this point, we're going to go ahead and start talking about the main print applications that are recommended. And Patrick, as you just mentioned, banners, let's start there. So for banners, what are we recommending for our DesignJet users out there?
Good question, Sean. So, if you're looking at a temporary solution, a product like our HP Everyday Matte Polypropylene is really going to be a versatile product. You're going to want to try to, use one product to do multiple applications if you can, right? We don't want to have double, triple, quadruple inventory if we don't need to. So one of our so-called jack of all trades kind of products, I would say, is our HP Everyday Matte Polypropylene, and you can use it in so many different ways. You can use it for indoor banners. You can use it for outdoor banners, as long as we always recommend put it up against a wall, because you don't want it out between two poles on grommets where it can get split in the wind. Now, remember, for those of you that have T-series printers, you're dealing with the fact that you have the dye-based inks, which are not water fast. So those are really going to limit your ability to put it outside and for a long period of time, unless, of course, you want to coat it with some kind of a overcoat to prevent the rain from making the inks run on the dye inks. But for those of you that have Z printers, we see people all the time, whether it's a small business or whether it's a school, put these types of banners outside up against the building for a month to change that monthly messaging around. So that everyday matte poly is probably your best go-to product as far as cost-effective product that can be used for a lot of other applications. Some folks will use that quote unquote synthetic paper to do other things like temporary posters or other kinds of announcements. And certainly indoors, it's a great product for T series or Z series. And I also think if you're talking banners, you don't want to forget Scrim banners. And our T series and Z series, or our technical and graphic product that we sell a ton of, is the HP Opaque Scrim, HP Opaque Scrim banner. And the difference is that's going to be, it's a lot thicker, it's a lot stronger, it's going to hold up out in the elements. And that's really for those of you that are running those Z type printers that want to get more than a month. That might last as much as 3-4 months outside without problems in most environments, and some may even get a little bit longer outdoor, and certainly indoor you can use that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. There's going to be a huge demand for both, indoor and certainly outdoor banners when schools reopen. Parents, students, they all need to know the messaging. Where do we go for drop off or pickup? What are the protocols that we're supposed to use? So I think it's going to be huge to have those outdoor banner applications. And again, the HP matte polypropylene for indoor or short-term outdoor, that's a great economical everyday use. And, to Pat's point, tear-resistant posters as well. That's a very important topic when we're talking about kids and hands, and
for sure.
Yeah, don't forget to do all the things that we all as adults know, but beyond the schools, I mean, again, I go back to, we're in Florida, and we closed down, and then we opened faster than most states fully, right? And now, Miami's closed again pretty much. So think about all your clients, all those businesses that, first they put the "we're closed" signage, then they put, "Hey, we're reopened, but we're reopened limited hours or smaller amount of the day," and then they put, "We're back reopened," and now they're going back to "we're closed" again. So their message that they are putting up today is probably not the same "we're closed" message that they put up on March 15th or whatever date it was where they closed. So this is an opportunity for you in the print business or as an in-house print operation to really more directly go at the message that you want to go at for today. And I think banners is a great way to do it.
No, it is. And, outside of schools, to your point about the businesses opening, there's so many different applications. We've seen, birthdays and graduations be a huge banner draw as of late, right? With all the social distancing and the closures, thanking your customers, grand reopenings, COVID test sites, healthcare facilities. There's just a ton of different applications for banners. So that's going to be very important as the economy reopens, schools reopen.
How about politics?
that might be a little draw coming up here as we near November.
There's a big fight coming up, right? So I mean, think about all the banners, whether you're on the left or the right or in the middle or on your own. It's somebody's got a message or an opinion, and I think that every 4 years there's a big boost to the wide format business due to the political machine and the millions and millions and millions of dollars that are spent on that. So it behooves all of you all that are listening to gear up for that game and decide, how am I going to differentiate myself as a fulfillment agent for some of these local campaigns, these regional campaigns, or even the national campaigns.
So it sounds like we've got banners pretty well covered with the polypropylene, and even like you guys had mentioned with the opaque scrim. So I want to move on now and talk a little bit about A-frames, which is something that we saw plenty of before, but now they're being used in a different way with different types of signage, different types of information to help people during these times. So let's take a look real quick at this quick installation video, and we'll talk through that and talk about the product.
Great.
So,
yeah, I think that the A-frames as in general, what's so great about them during this COVID challenge that we're all facing is they're just so versatile. If you're a business or you're a governmental operation or a school, really any kind of a mom and pop small business, this is a quick and easy way for you to get your message out there, and you can put it out front, you could put it inside, you can change it out very easily. And what you're seeing here on this video is a very quick and easy way to mount a graphic. As you saw it printed out very easily, you pull back the top just a couple inches and then go ahead and mount it. And as you see that he's squeegeeing it out there right on down the page, I mean, anybody could do it. Super easy. And I think a lot of the times, Sean, I find, and Dan, you probably have seen this, a lot of the time our clients that run the T-series or Z-series type printers, they're not huge volume printing operations, and they sometimes can get intimidated by doing an adhesive backed application. They print posters all day long, but they've never really gotten into the whole sticky backed product. But I think it's great to show the video as to literally, I mean, we've been talking here for 15, 20 seconds, and he finished it already. I mean, it's that easy. You don't need to outsource it. You can do it in-house.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, the HP Universal Adhesive Vinyl is a great product to use either indoor or outdoors. It certainly is a DIY product, as you saw in the video. And we do have other training videos available on the website that kind of detail how to install these types of graphics. So it really does make it easy. Trial and errors, the easiest way, but typically it's a one-time and done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, looking at that installation, some of the things that you'd mentioned, Pat, just basically applying it to that top edge, and then moving down the graphic as you're applying it to the substrate or to the A-frame itself. It's very, very easy. And one thing I also wanted to point out, that graphic was printed a little bit oversized. So once it was lined up, you go back in and trim it out, and then you have a perfect edge all the way around. So it's a very nice product, very easy to use. And one of the things too about the graphics that I wanted to mention about the graphics that we're seeing, and we will be seeing in these demonstrations, is they're all directly from HP, and they're easy to get to. They're easy to find. All you need is a printer serial number, your printer serial number, and you go online to the HP Wall Art site, and you can build your own posters there and customize them. So everything that you're going to see from a graphic standpoint is the basic graphic that HP has already provided to all of its users. And
That's a great
you can go ahead and just customize it. So a lot of the work is already done for you if you want to go down that road. And this stuff can be customized within the online application. So again, I'll probably mention that a couple of times as we're going through, because it really is a huge advantage for HP printer owners. They have these great resources.
Yeah, and to that point, not only is it available there, but the printers themselves come loaded on board profiles. So the HP Universal Adhesive Vinyl should be loaded, preloaded on your machine. You simply select, plug and play. So if you're not familiar with running these types of materials, it's a pretty easy thing to do. Your machines are preloaded with the profiles, and you can just print your files as go.
Yeah, and the other thing is you probably picked up on this if maybe you have already experienced this as an end user, but this is definitely something that you have one image on it today, and your message changes 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a month later. You can go ahead and remove that and print another one and do it again, and it'll come off pretty easily, at least for a month, and depending on what kind of environment it's stored in. It might be a little harder to get up if you have any issues pulling it up, because let's say you leave it on there for a year or two. Some people just stack it on put it over the top of the old one, depending on what your imaging looks like. That's not always, if you can get it off and slap a new one on there, that's probably preferred, but definitely I've seen folks just put a new graphic over the top and a new one over the top and a new one over the top. But it's whatever, like Dan said, buy it and try it, check it out, see what works easy for you.
Moving on, I know one of the other things that we're seeing out there is a lot of PPE, especially in the medical areas, a lot of social distancing graphics, barriers, dividers. We're seeing it at cash registers, all these different places. Within the HP technical and graphics portfolio, is there a product that we're seeing used for these types of applications, and how so? Dan, I think you have something to share on that.
Yeah, actually, a product that's been very unique and we found new applications for is the HP Clear Film out of the technical portfolio. It's one of our technical papers. These social distancing dividers are being found everywhere, to your point, Sean. They're at grocery stores, restaurants, retail environments. Government institutes are utilizing them. I mean, my son just got his license last month. We went to the DMV. And not only did we have to make an appointment, we had to wait outside to be called in. And once we were called in, there was not only dividers, it was every other desk that was being utilized. There were dividers in between the actual customer spaces. And then they were completely encapsulated. The staff was completely encapsulated in plexiglass or acrylic type dividers. The HP Clear Film can be used with a roll-up banner stand as a very economical way to provide additional safety levels and barriers for your customers. They can be placed in between tables in restaurants. They can be placed in between bar stools. There's just a lot of different applications. They can be placed in retail environments, separating lines as an additional barrier, for those 6-foot markers. So there's just a ton of different things. It's going to be important, I think, as businesses and certainly as schools reopen, to be able to have easily installable, transportable, or repositionable type graphics, right? And the HP clear film makes an ideal candidate for that. Further to that, it can go in as a clear film, or can be printed. You can put your school logo, your mascot, your business logo. There's a lot of different things that can be done to the product to customize it or offer some type of customization. I've even seen a lot of restaurants that, in addition to having disposable menus, they now have barcodes that you can scan with your cell phone to pull up the menu electronically, where you don't have to touch anything. And so those barcodes could be printed technically on those dividers, right, in between tables, to allow you an easy way to scan and pull up the menu.
There's kind of a challenge out there right now with the plexi or the variations of that kind of a product, and there's such a run on the supply chain that there isn't enough to go around. And oh, by the way, I'm a business, and oh, by the way, my sales are down, and oh, by the way, my checking account doesn't look so great compared to what it used to, because I don't have the same amount of customers as I had before all this, because people are afraid to come in. So I don't know that I can really afford to pay the thousands of dollars to get the plexiglass installed by a contractor, if I can even A, get the plexi, and B, get the contractor. So we're not saying we've got the cure for COVID-19 here, but what we are saying is we have a more cost-effective, more mobile, more temporary solution as an additional way to help make your customers, psychologically anyway, feel a little bit safer. And if you think about having a movable banner stand that you could sit in front of your cash register because you haven't yet been able to get the plexiglass put in, or like Dan said, between the kids at their desks, which are definitely going to space out every other or every 3, or whatever they're going to do. It's better than nothing, and it's not going to break the bank. And oh, by the way, you can, as a print service provider, you can add some value to that you can't as easily add to these plexi signage, to these plexi signs. You can actually print some messaging. Let's say, envision it in front of your cashier. You can put it right in front of that cashier, and from the counters level, let's say 36 inches and below, you can put whatever messaging you want, the specials, or for delivery information, call, or ask about our rewards program, or whatever it is that's appropriate for your business. You can put your logo, your signage, your messaging.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've seen a lot of point of purchase or point of sale, really just protocol instructions, right? Where to stand, please stand here, don't hand us your credit card, place it here. So, that's another opportunity to be able to customize messaging, at your point of purchase or point of sale location for retail outlets.
Now, Dan, one thing you just mentioned when we were talking about the dividers was disposable menus, and now seeing stuff on tables that just a QR code that you scan and that pulls up your menu. Obviously not. I haven't seen that as widespread yet. I'm sure it'll hopefully catch on because it does make sense. But in the meantime, what would you recommend for disposable menus, disposable table signage, things along those lines for restaurants and other types of eateries?
Yeah, a great everyday economical product to use would be probably the HP everyday, or the HP heavyweight coated paper rather. It's a economical product. It is heavyweight, so it's good for, it's got a good hand or feel to it. That's a great product that could be used for disposable menus. It could also be folded. A lot of the tables now have either, an adhesive back product that's adhered to it saying, please do not sit here, or, do not use this table. They separate every other table. But in the same breath, I've seen foldable type of your own A-frame, right? So you could fold that, that same paper product and place your same message on there and replace
table toppers or whatever.
Yep, yeah. Table toppers as needed.
Yeah, and that product, the HP Universal Heavyweight Coated, I do think is a great solution for this, because it's not too high end and too expensive that you're not going to want to throw it out. You're not going to want to spend all that money and do it on a photo paper, but it still allows you to lay down a good amount of ink comparatively to one of the lower grade, coated bonds. So I do think it's a good jack of all trades kind of middle ground, let's call it, maybe not jack of all trades, but a middle ground option to kind of get the best of both worlds, but yet still keep it on a budget. And you won't feel so bad about throwing those out because it's not going to break the bank.
Well, I know we just talked about something that's disposable, and a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is more short to medium term indoor or temporary graphics beyond that. And I know one of the more exciting product launches that you guys have had is the new HP removable adhesive fabric. And I know it's a very versatile product that can address a number of the application needs that are out there right now. Whether it's wall graphics, window graphics, floor graphics, any of those things. So I definitely wanted to get your guys' take on the HP removable adhesive fabric for those applications. And then we'll also, while we're talking about it, we'll take a look at a couple of different ways that it's being installed for these different types of applications.
We're super excited about this because it's one of these things where, wide format media, it's not very often that we launch a totally innovative product. I mean, this industry is pretty far down the line as far as, our industry life cycle. And, but with that being said, they say it's better to be lucky than good sometimes. I think that we had some luck on our side. We've been developing this product for quite a long time, but to have this product literally launch the month essentially that COVID hit, and oh, by the way, it happened to pass the slip rating so that it could be used as floor graphics. I mean, up until now, floor graphics were exclusively things that people with latex or solvent or UV printers were able to print. You're seeing on this video right here, it being used on a wall in an elevator, vestibule type area. It can be used for that eye level signage, maximum 4 people at a time. But you can also use this product on the floor. And there really isn't anything else out there that you can use on the floor that you can print on your Z series printer. But now we've got a product that you can use to do that. And is it going to be exactly the same as a adhesive vinyl with a textured over laminate that you buy from a sign shop? No, that's going to be a more, let's say, longer term product. But if you don't have that printer and you want to print it in-house, you didn't have a choice to do that before, but now you do. And you can see this video we're articulating, look, you can put it on a wall, you can put it on a tile wall, even on a wall covered wall. You can put it on a mirror. It's super versatile product. And look at how easy it is, as far as he's installing it. It is an adhesive back fabric. It doesn't feel like a t-shirt. When I say fabric, I always am careful to make people understand it's not like a blanket. It really, in my view, looks and feels more like a paper, almost like a polyester type paper, a synthetic paper. But the reason that it's fabric, I think, is very important to point out, and it's because when you mount it, it allows the air bubbles that often can get trapped behind a non-permeable membrane like a vinyl or a polypropylene. It allows those air bubbles to go ahead and escape right through the face of the print and prevents them from getting trapped behind the material. And that's a huge advantage to that kind of a product.
Yeah, that's a great point. Further to that, it is removable, right? So this is one that truly is a do-it-yourself product. If you make a mistake on the installation, you get bubbles or it scrunches up in one corner or the other, it's very easy to remove and reposition the product. And because it is a breathable substrate, it allows you to get that nice bubble-free installation.
That's a good point. Sean, how would you describe it as far as removable versus repositionable?
I mean, removable, just like we see with vinyls. I mean, you have a removable vinyl where the majority, if not all, of the adhesive will come up when you remove it. While this is removable, it's also repositionable. So you can put it down and then move it, take it up, and then move it to another place. So you can literally reposition it. And that's during the demonstration what you were seeing in the bathroom, going from the wall right over to the glass, or by the elevator where you're repositioning it, from one side of the elevator to the other. So I think that's probably the easiest way to explain the difference between the two.
Well, and I think that that's so important for our viewers to recognize, because as the HP media team, we've never had a product like that, especially for the technical and graphics portfolio,
Hmm.
and I really think that it's going to make it's going to make people's lives a lot easier that have been accustomed to using a product that you have to mount it correctly the first time, or
Hmm.
else you got to redo the whole application. You have to reprint the graphic. You have to get a new board that you're mounting it on. You have to. It's just, we're making it so much easier than it's ever been, and I think that that's just going to save so much time and energy, and especially, and again, better to be lucky than good, to have a situation where we truly need temporary signage right now more than we ever have.
Hmm.
With all the COVID stuff going on and all the changes and what people are supposed to do that we have going on. I mean, floors are only getting the eyeballs so many minutes of the day. You're also looking straight ahead. You're looking up. You're looking to the side. You need to kind of think about the three dimension, the three different surfaces: the windows, the walls, and the floors. And I think this is a product. It's the only product that you can use on all three.
Yeah, yeah. The value can certainly be found in the versatility. This is truly a product that you can purchase. You can do your short-term floor graphics with. Okay, you can do wall graphics, wall murals for that matter with the product. Temporary signage, point of purchase. It is a sticky back product, so you could use it on A-frame signage, right? If you weren't comfortable doing an install with a vinyl-based product, this can be used for pretty much any application that a traditional adhesive back product can be used for, and much more, because of its repositionable and removable capabilities. It makes it very, very versatile. And like Patrick said, it really hasn't been something that's available, for the technical and graphics or T or Z series type printer in the past.
One other way you could use it is, we talked about the political season, right, being on the horizon. If you don't have a flatbed printer, a lot of you folks probably don't. How would you do a yard sign? Well, the way you used to do it would be you'd outsource it, or maybe you used our HP Universal Adhesive Vinyl. And if you've got a proficient team, I'd keep doing it that way. If you have a less experienced team, or you see too much waste because they're having to reprint too many graphics because they're not lining it up the right way, this is
Hmm.
an easy kind of keep it simple way to mount graphics, and you can't screw it up. If you mount it on an angle, you can peel it right back up, straighten it up, and put it right back down. And you could try it 3, 4, 5 times until you get it right, and no big deal. And it's made for that. So I think that not only can you use it for that, you can use it for indoor or outdoor. If you have the Z series inks with the pigmented based ink set, it's going to be water fast. It can go outside on a window for a couple of months, no problem, probably even up to a year in some instances, or maybe even beyond if it's in a
Hmm.
environment that's allows for a little bit more longevity. Or on the inside, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see people do a full wallpaper type job with the product like this. It's more like a DIY. You don't need to hire a wallpaper installer. And when you want to change your restaurant's accent wall, when you have a new message, pull it off and put your new version of it up, and it won't rip the paint off. So I mean, I think that all these things, that's why, gosh, we're our team, the HP media team, we really haven't had a product like this ever. To be able to use one product in so many ways. I talked about polypropylene being a jack of all trades product, and it kind of is, but only for like banners or synthetic posters or tear resistant posters. This is a product that can be used truly in an infinite number of applications.
I know one of the things that we mentioned, or one of you mentioned, was that it's slip rated for floor graphic. Can you talk about that slip rating a little bit?
Yeah, it's an ATSM certification, right? That gives it a degree of slip rating that enables it to be used as a short-term indoor floor graphic material. And so for all those folks that are running T or Z series equipment, previously they really haven't had any options for floor graphic materials or applications. This gives them the ability to do those short-term graphics for their customer base, or if they're printing in-house for their grocery store, their their classrooms, whatever it is. It is a short-term application, but the graphics they're very easy to install, so they can as regulations change, right? If it goes from 6 foot, then now we need to stay 10 foot apart, whatever the case may be. It allows you to rapidly change the messaging very easily.
Well, guys, I think at this point, we'll go ahead and finish with the applications, and we'll jump into the Q&A. So guys, at this point, we have a couple of questions that have come in. If there's anybody else who would like to submit a question, please go ahead and do it at this time. First and foremost, thinking about the HP removable adhesive fabric. You did mention that it's compatible with latex and DesignJet technologies. Does it come in 2 different core sizes?
Yeah, I'll jump on that one. This is one of the, well, it's actually the first HP product that we've launched that actually has a 2 and 3 inch adaptable core. So the product is able to be run on either 2 inch or 3 inch core spindles. Thus it works for T and Z series printers as well as the L series or latex printers. Also happens to work on the HP PageWide XL.
If they're running it on a PageWide XL printer, is there anything special that they have to do?
Well, so as far as the T and Z series printers and the latex printers, it's plug and play. We are working, the product happens to be taped to the core, okay? PageWide media typically is cinched to the core, right? And the reason being because of the speed of the machines, we don't want that tape running through and you know, potentially causing harm to the printer. So we're working on a version of this product to be specific for PageWide. Right now, from an ink perspective, handling perspective, it is 100% compatible. Even with the cutter, it's been tested extensively. But we do recommend, while using this version or the first you know, version here, that you tell the PageWide to stop the roll short. So stop it at, say, 95 or even 90 feet, whatever your comfort level it is. When you load the media, you're able to do that on the PageWide, and that'll help, you know, eliminate any potential errors.
Okay, great. So next question also has to do with the HP removable adhesive fabric. When we looked at the A-frame demonstration earlier, it was the HP Universal Adhesive Vinyl, and one of our attendees wants to know if the new fabric is one that you would recommend for that type of application as well.
Absolutely. You know, we joked a little bit about how versatile it was, but it is truly the most versatile product that I've ever been a part of, certainly since our HP brand management took over. So the advantage to the HP adhesive vinyl is the cost. Okay, it's going to come in a lot more cost effectively. The advantage to the HP fabric is going to be ease of use. I mean, literally, you can mount it 6 times and keep repositioning it until you get it perfectly. So, you know, a client of mine that has a number of stores, thousands of stores, they wanted a product that was really, you know, with their transient workforce, you know, they're always training new people. They wanted it to be just automatic. They didn't want to have to worry about whether or not it would work or not. So they went with a product more like that HP removable adhesive fabric versus somebody who's a primary sole proprietor, I guess you would say, who might be doing it themselves. They might want to save the money. They're confident in their own skills. They might want to go with the adhesive HP Universal Adhesive Fabric, or I mean HP Universal Adhesive Vinyl. Sorry about that.
Okay, very good. Next question also about HP removable adhesive fabric. And this is the last question we have right now. So if anybody else has questions, please go ahead and submit them using the questions feature in the attendee panel. Can the HP removable adhesive fabric be used with T-series printers? And I think, you know, you guys have touched on that, but what would the differences be using it on a T-series versus a Z-series, or, you know, a DesignJet Z-series printer? Maybe some of the things that they can look out for.
Yeah, and I'll jump on that one as well, Dan, and you, I'm sure, have something to add, but I think that, you know, a T versus a Z, you can essentially do all the same applications. It's just really a question of durability and longevity. So can it be done? Absolutely. Now that product, as you all know, it is slip rated. So would I want to use it as a floor graphic? It wouldn't be my first choice. If you were a user that had a choice of a Z or a T, put it on the Z. If you only have a T and you need to get it done and it's a short-term graphic, you know, maybe you put a liquid lamination on it. Like, you know, we work with a company called Marabou who has a 12-ounce spray can that you can just, you know, you can either buy it from one of our resellers or you can Google it, find it online. And that'll help you to protect those inks and seal them in, because as most of you know, if you have a T-Series, you probably know that a T-Series has two different kinds of ink. It has what is known as dye-based inks for the colors, and it has pigmented-based inks for the black. And Z-Series printers have pigmented-based inks for all colors and black. So that just gives you the water fastness so that, we can't say quote unquote waterproof, but it's about as close to the waterproof that you can get with an inkjet, water-based inkjet printer. So I think that that'll kind of help you to make a determination as to which way you want to try to take this, and if you can protect it, or go ahead and take that extra step, because your inks aren't giving you that protection if you're a T-Series person.
Great.
Yeah.
We have one more question come in as you were starting to speak there, Patrick, and it was about the HP adhesive fabric again, and it was kind of decoded. So you answered 2 for 1 without even knowing it.
Sweet.
At this point, we're gonna finish up for today. That's the end of our Q&A session. At the conclusion of the webinar here, there'll be a pop-up for a survey. We'd appreciate if you could fill that out for us. We'll also be sending all the attendees today a replay of the webinar, so it's something you can refer back to. And if you haven't seen it, in the handout section within the attendee panel for GoToWebinar is the HP Top 5 Products and Applications Guide. So that's going to give you the products that we discussed today, along with the applications that they work with. And then if you have any more questions afterwards, feel free to contact us. And even during the survey process afterwards, if between now and then, when we end this webinar, if you think of a question, go ahead and answer it. Go ahead and ask us there, and we'll be more than happy to get back to you on that. So thank you for all your time today, spending it with us. Dan, Pat, great presentation, and we'll do it again soon.
Thanks everybody.
Glad to help. Thanks.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye now.